It's now my pleasure to introduce an individual whose remarkable accomplishments will be recognized with an honorary Doctor of Laws degree. Jeanette Corbiere Lavell has dedicated her decades-long career to raising the status of Canadian Indigenous women. She proudly pursues and strives for equality and recognition for First Nations women and children. Since 2008, she continues to serve as the Anishinaabe Nation Citizenship Commissioner. In addition to pursuing human rights, she's also focused on water protection. Soon after her marriage in 1970 to a non-Indigenous man, Ms. Corbiere Lavell lost her legal status. As this condition did not apply to Indigenous men, she brought forward a court challenge to the Indian Act. Initially, this challenge failed, but eventually inspired other challenges leading to action against gender discrimination and success and fairness for Indigenous women. Quote, "One person's voice can make a difference." This is what Ms. Corbiere Lavell has proved through her persistence in advocating for Indigenous women's rights throughout Canada and notably advancing gender equality under law. Ms. Corbiere Lavell is truly an inspiration to Indigenous women, men, families, and communities, and serves as an inspiration for all members of our community as well. Now, before I present Ms. Lavell, I did want to mention one other accomplishment that's very special to Trent, and that is that Jeanette is the mother of Dawn Lavell Harvard, who is the executive director of the First Peoples House of Learning at Trent. I did want to say, Jeanette, that we're not giving you the degree because you're her mother, but we really love having Dawn at Trent University, so we do thank you for being her mother. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting to you for the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, Jeanette Corbiere Lavell. Congratulations, Dr. Corbiere Lavell. It's now my pleasure to invite you to address Convocation.
I do have difficulty. I'm much shorter than most people, so. Mr. Chancellor, Mr. President, members of the graduating class, faculty, family, and friends, all of you. Ani, bonjour. Kadanmikon minim. Greetings to all of you. Congratulations, graduates. I am honored to be here with you today on your special day of celebration here on the traditional territory of the Michizagi Anishinaabe. My name is Giiwedanong, North Star in Anishinaabe, and I am Anishinaabe from Wikwemkong unceded territory, Ndomninsing on Lake Huron. I am especially honored as an Indigenous woman to be awarded this honorary Doctor of Laws degree from Trent University the first institution in Canada to establish an Indigenous Studies program. It is truly an honor. And my congratulations to all of you, graduates, on your achievement this day. Enjoy this day. It is a day to celebrate with your family and your friends and to create all those special memories that you will be sharing with your families later on. I also understand it's customary to give some words of wisdom and guidance, perhaps, to all the graduates. So I thought I would start by sharing our grandfather teachings, of which wisdom is but one teaching. Then there's also bravery. Bravery I need right now as I look out at all of you. Humility, as who am I to presume I know better? Truth and honesty. This is easier because some of you do know me, and I wouldn't get away with telling tales about what I've done or get away with any exaggeration. And then, of course, there's love and respect. This is the best place to start, as love and respect is the basis of our traditional teachings. These teachings help me to persevere, to be strong, to continue fighting for equality and justice for Indigenous women in Canada. Even when those who were against me said I would never win, and even when they said, how can one small woman challenge the laws of this country, much less take on the entire government of Canada? They all said I could never win, but as my husband would tell you, the fastest way to make sure an Indigenous woman does something is to tell her she can't. So I did it. And believe me, it was difficult. So many obstacles, barriers, and even threats. Not only from the federal government, but from our own leadership, and this was the most hurtful. On the other hand, as an Indigenous woman, our culture and teachings gave us strength to carry on. And eventually, due to our persistence in 1985, under Bill C-31, I, my 3 children, including my daughter here, and over 100,000 Indigenous women and children were reinstated. Unfortunately, there is still discrimination in the current Indian Act. We have not achieved full recognition of our rights as women, and we are still carrying on the struggle almost 50 years later. This all started in 1970, so 50 years almost. But an Anishinaabe women, and especially, I think, within some of our families, we are raised up to stand up and to speak out, and when necessary, to fight for what we believe in. Our women warriors have been the heart of our nations since time immemorial. And we will continue until the discrimination and violation of our human rights comes to an end, and our people reclaim our rightful place as equals in this nation. It is our tradition among the Anishinaabe people to share our wisdom through stories. And as I am a member of the Bajamajik Theater Group, Storytellers, I would like to share a little story with you. As I said, I was born on the Quemkong unceded territory, many, many years ago. In those days, families would get together to share in the work of gardening, planting, weeding, harvesting. In the summers, my grandmother and my aunt and my mom, all of us, my siblings, we all went to my aunt's farm. Her name was Auntie Tutuin. And her log house was in the middle of a field that was surrounded with lots of fruit trees, apple trees. As I said, this was long ago. Some of you probably already can calculate how many years, but it was long ago. And in those days, it was not quite the Stone Age, but long ago. And we didn't have any electricity and no indoor plumbing. So to use the facilities, you had to walk a path out the back that took you by all the apple trees on the way to the outhouse. And I was only 6 and short now, but I was short then as well. Well, in the fall, everybody would start to get ready for the big annual agricultural fall fair. And of course, all the community competed to show off their vegetables, their chickens, their livestock, and of course, all the fruit from their trees. This was a big event. Not only did you get a red ribbon for first prize, but you also got some money. And money was very scarce in those days, and this was a big deal. My Auntie Tutuin one day came running in. Did I tell you she was short as well? But she came running into the house, all excited, and announced to everybody, "I have just seen the biggest, the reddest, and the most beautiful apple. This will be the #1 prize winner in the fair. So, no one is to pick this apple until the day of the fair, and then only I will pick it." So, she looked at everyone, especially me, I think, and she said, "It is hanging on the lowest branch of the big apple tree near the path to the outhouse." She made this real special eye contact with me, because being the shortest and always running around, I guess she must have known something. And of course, in those days, it was all Nishnabem went. So the order had been given. And every day, I had to look at this big, juicy red apple as I walked by. It was exactly at my eye level. Remember, it was on the lowest branch. And I thought about it. I dreamt about it. It was so tempting. But I had been warned. And I loved my Auntie Tutuin. And so I just couldn't pick it. Fall Fair Day arrived. And Auntie Tutuin was busy packing and getting all her entries together. And the last chore was to go out and get her big #1 prize winner. She hurried out. And then the next thing we heard was, "Yeah, Winesh kamwat mishimnam." She came running into the house crying, with tears coming down her face. But at the same time, she was laughing, just bent over laughing. She just couldn't help it. And she couldn't stop laughing. She was holding her sides, and she called all of us, all the people in the house together. And she said, come out. And there for all to see was this big, red, juicy apple still hanging on the lowest branch of the apple tree. But someone had taken big bites all around the outside of the apple. All that was left hanging was the apple core. Everybody looked at me, and I thought, for sure, now I've done it, I've had it. I was going to get something not good. But Auntie Tutui, still laughing, said, Jeanette didn't disobey. She didn't pick the apple. It's still hanging on the tree. This little girl found a way to get what she wanted. She found a way. In the end, I managed to eat and enjoy this big, juicy red apple by being innovative, imaginative, and thinking outside the box, as many of us now say. I had found a way to get around that barrier. So, what will you take from this story, graduates? I'm sure you all have your tomorrows planned, your future careers, your professions, travels, your dreams. And you will have struggles that you will face and a barrier or two. You will find obstacles in your way. And when you do, just stop. Remember this story and take some time to think, to pray, and then use the talents and skills that the Creator gave you. Find another way. Seek a different path. Use your imagination and find a new way forward. Remember that life is tough and you are tougher. So don't give up. There is always another way to reach your goal. And as I tell my daughter and my grandchildren, you must always follow your heart. But for goodness sakes, don't forget to take your brain along with you. If one very small woman from an Indian reserve in Northern Ontario can stand up against the government of Canada and force a change within the laws, imagine what we can achieve if we all stand up, if we all speak out against injustice and equality, if we speak out against environmental destruction. One voice is easily silenced, but if we raise them together, all of us, our voices will become a roar that cannot be ignored. Together, we can make a difference, and together, we can change the world. Miigwech Giiwedanong Corbiere.